to Muscle in the Morning. I'm Dave Palumbo, and today is Thursday, July 26th, 2018. And let's find out what's going on in the world of bodybuilding and fitness. I was on record last year from the start of the season talking about how I thought it would go down as one of the craziest years on record. And less than 2 weeks from now, we might be about to get our first dose of crazy here in the 2018 season, if former women's physique international champ Autumn Swansen makes the jump over to figure. Earlier this week, news broke on social media that Swansen was openly debating whether or not she would jump into the figure division at the Tampa Pro, which would definitely add a little bit of intrigue to Tim Gardner's midsummer extravaganza. At this point, I'm still not sure if Swansen even knows what her plans are moving forward, but she swears that I convinced her to stay in physique. But with so many athletes changing divisions now on both sides, I can't say that it would come as a major shock if she does decide to end up taking her talents in another direction. Personally, I think she's made for physique. Earlier this week, I heard on the news that the Powerball jackpot was capping out somewhere around $512 million. But why do I get the feeling that Shaun Clarida never even poked his head out of the gym long enough to know what all the fuss was about? Bright and early Monday morning, we saw the 212 giant killer doing what he does best in his latest pre-Olympia back day massacre, as phase 3 of this year's preparations finally start to get underway. Clarida is still riding that huge tsunami of momentum he created back in May when he pulled off the biggest night of his professional career with his win at the New York Pro. So as long as he can ride that hot streak into Vegas, I don't think I'm the only one who can see a scenario where he puts himself in contention for a top 5 finish. Now that people are getting their security clearances revoked left and right at the White House, and we're inviting Putin over for a steak dinner, I think it's time to get ourselves a new Secretary of Defense in Washington. And I think Jim Mannion should pull some strings with his people in D.C. to get my man Charles Dixon in for an interview. Rumor has it that the tank is barreling down the back half of this year's Olympia prep, feeling as good as he ever has in a long time about his chances heading into the grand finale. Let's not forget how good this guy was at the start of the season, where he absolutely lit up the month of March with his runner-up at the Arnold and big win at the Indy Pro. And if we even get a slightly improved version of Dixon on the Olympia stage, I think he's probably good enough to push for a top 5 finish. Last weekend, I may or may not have stayed up until 1 in the morning watching the World Series of Poker, while secretly thinking that maybe I can make it on one of those tables if I manage to get on a hot streak. But until I can get together the money for the $1 million buy-in, I think I'll just focus on important things. Things like what 3-time men's physique Olympian Dean Balabis is doing. The 2-time top 10 finisher has been absolutely tearing it up in the gym over these last few weeks, as preparations for the next round of his 2018 are starting to shape up. For one reason or another, we still haven't seen Balabis hit that tip-top peak performance yet this season. But when you've got this sort of talent at your disposal, you're never really more than one good punch away from getting right back into the fight. Sometimes I wish I could find a way to merge bodybuilding and basketball so I can make my own super team to watch some of these guys just go at it. And if I'm making a 212 super team, I think it goes without saying that my number 1 overall pick would certainly be second-year champ in waiting, Derek Lunsford. Less than 2 months out from making his return trip to Vegas, Flex Lewis's heir apparent seems like he's getting scarier by the day. Updates this week from Team Lunsford down there at MI40 Gym might be the craziest ones we've seen yet, because all of a sudden now, this kid is showing all sorts of muscle and detail that flat out wasn't there before. I don't think anyone's under any illusions that he might actually beat Flex Lewis this year and win the Olympia, but the way things are going now, saying that he could potentially end up a close second doesn't seem all that crazy when you think about it. And that does it for yet another edition of Muscle in the Morning. I'm Dave Palumbo, reminding you to always be true to your passions, and make sure to follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram.